Welcome to Conversations on the Edge with Tom and TJ, where Generation X and Millennial talk about restoration, the Edge version 3, and the Word.
All right. So welcome, everybody. I'm very excited about our podcast today. We kind of took a few weeks off, and I'm very excited to have Paul with us today with ENCIRCLE. And we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff today, Paul. And of course, TJ, welcome. TJ is somewhere on the freeway in Tennessee, I'm assuming.
Virginia.
All right. Close enough. And so he's on his way someplace. So he's a little bumpy right now, but it'll be all right. But Paul, what we usually do is we start off with something fun and exciting going on in our lives that don't have anything to do with anything. So since you are our guest, you get to start out. Something fun and exciting going on in your life.
Well, listen, here in Canada, we get a ton of snow, and this has been particularly bad so far this year, or good if you love snow. I actually don't mind it, but heading down to our place in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico on Sunday. So getting out of the cold weather, heading down south and bringing the family down. They'll be coming down over the holidays, and I'll be working the smoker out on the deck overlooking Banderas Bay with the whales and dolphins in the background. So can't wait to be there.
Golly, sounds
Nice.
miserable.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible. No, that's awesome. That is awesome. You know, I've been invited down. I've never been down to Puerto Vallarta, and then also what's the other whale watching?
Cabo San Lucas. Yeah.
I haven't been there yet. I've been trying to and been invited, but schedule just hasn't made it happen yet. But I'm holding out. It'll happen.
Well, you're in Florida, so you still get good seafood. You got the warmth, the beach. So us Canadians, we got to go down where we can get some good seafood. Catch some some salt air that ease the arthritis as we get older.
Yep.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
Well, you're going to have to plan on next year because every year we have our year-ending class, and I'll talk about a little bit more about that in the first week in December. So you can come on down, spend a week with us here in Cape Canaveral, and it's awesome. So TJ, what's going on in your life, buddy?
I'm still on a high from last week, Tom. I mean, talk about last week. We got to see a couple rocket launches, got to meet Clay, hang out with him. We had an awesome class. So I'm still, I'm playing a lot of catch up on the work side, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch up too, and Paul, it's that's my fun and exciting thing is that year-ending class. It is really cool. It's unlike any other training class that there is, and it's on purpose.
But I want to know, how did you book the rocket launches? That's a tough one.
Well, we get lucky in December because there are usually a bunch of launches that have been delayed. And so that first week in December, there's typically at least one because they're catching up. Because we have about 150 launches a year in that neighborhood.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so more launches now than even when we got into the original space race. And so it's really cool. And we go out to Kennedy Space Center, and we had Clay Anderson with us this time, and Clay it was really cool because I was nervous because this is my first celebrity guest speaker, and I was like, so I created this video, and I couldn't wait for Clay to see it, and so we have this big cookout, It's a great networking event, where everybody's there, all the sponsors, all the attendees and invited guests and everything. And so, like we had Michelle Blevins stopped in. She was in the hotel next door, and Pete Consigli was there. And of course we had Clay and then all of our sponsors and everything. And so we took Clay over to the what I call the stage, because it's an 8,000 square foot room that we're in. So it's a huge room, and I've got 3 screens, and it's an event. And we showed him the video, and TJ was there, and it was really cool. It was really cool. And TJ was looking at me, and I was just like, I was standing behind Clay, just kind of watching him, and it was really cool because it moved him to tears. And so it was cool.
It was cool to watch you too, Tom, because I mean it was like a childhood, moment for you, getting to meet like your superhero.
Well, what I try to do with life in general, and then with the training and everything that we're doing, it's like I tell the people that come to the class. I mean, enjoy the moment. Enjoy this moment in time, because we go out of our way to make it special for you. And I'm glad that we got Clay tied in there so that it was special for him also, because I want people to remember that moment, that week in December. And it's a cool thing. And I take it very personal. Sometimes, the classes, we don't really make any money, but I have a lot of fun. And because it's not always about the money, it's about making an impression on people that lasts, and in introducing them to training in an environment to where they feel like they're in a place like none other. So they're not in a training room in the middle of nowhere with nothing to do. They're at a resort. If they want to go to the pool after the class, and go to the pool and go to the tiki bar. The place is surrounded by 30, 40 restaurants. It's really cool. And it's nice to see the light bulbs come on with people. That first day is a little cloudy, because we're talking about a lot of stuff that they have never thought about or been introduced to. And that's the one thing in my class, is you're going to learn something that you don't learn anywhere else. No one else is talking about production rates. Nobody else is talking about square footage prices that you should be looking at and how you should be managing your job. Nobody's doing it. Don't ask me why, but that's to our benefit, Paul, that they are not.
That's one of the things you and I are going to fix, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, with the help of TJ. TJ, thanks for being a loyal ENCIRCLE supporter and the Edge.
Yeah, of course. I've already had tons of follow-up last week from several people in the class. They wanted feedback on their projects. They had projects that they started using the Edge on. So I've been talking to people all week.
That's great.
Well, and Paul and I had a conversation here just about 30 minutes ago, and I was kind of giving him a briefing on the rebranding that we're going to be doing for Large Loss Mastery, and we already have the domain and everything for that, and so it's going to be Loss Mastery, and instead of Large Loss will be inside of that, and then we're going to be introducing more of a small commercial and residential piece into it. So it's just not going to be large loss anymore. So it's going to be really cool. And TJ and I are going to be working together and putting that together. And TJ, I might have said that I'm going to want to have it all done by March. And so I'm going to be working with you on pounding that out, because January and February are always my months where it's time to get stuff off the ground and moving. And so I'm going to be leaning on you in January and February.
At least I have a heads up on this one.
What do you say? Nice spring stuff? Well, I do that, Paul, and this is kind of in my world is I have like these moments of ideas, these flows of stuff, and I know that you've been there too, where you just have all of the stuff that you want to do, and just not enough time to do it. And so sometimes when I bring up a project, it might not be at the right time, but it's at the time that I was thinking about it. And so,
No,
Paul,
well,
thank you for joining us, Paul. I wanted to get right to, you and I have worked together over the past 6 months on bringing the Edge to ENCIRCLE, and it's been a really exciting journey so far. With the team, this a lot of the team, they're like, all right, so you got this. What is this Edge, and what do we do with it now? And so it's been a lot of fun developing the marketing and putting all of that, watching it all develop. And I think 2026 is going to be phenomenal. And I cannot wait, to see what the next, what the ENCIRCLE version of the Edge looks like. And so tell us a little bit about how you feel about the Edge in your acquisition.
yeah. Well, let's go back to, when you introduced it to me several years ago, I already was a big believer in labor production rates, because at the end of the day, that's where contractors typically get themselves into trouble. Either it's labor or it's equipment. Now, we solved the equipment one in hydro, but the labor one has always dogged us until you and I really started talking about how do we simplify this and how do we expose the importance of labor productivity. Because we all naturally assess that. Even when we have a contractor come to our house, you're replacing a fence. He's going to give you a price on the fence. And in your mind, you do okay, how much labor is he charging me? How much materials? And does it make sense? Well, why is it taking him, 2 weeks to do a fence that should be done in 4 days? I'm not paying for that. Let me go find another contractor. So it's everywhere. It's Amazon. It's almost every other industry. But few in this industry understand the importance of it. And I can guarantee you the adjusters are running those same models in their heads if they're not doing it in a spreadsheet. And so the Edge just made sense as a tool to help govern how restorers run their business and how they interact and educate the policyholder, customer, or the adjuster. Right? Because a lot of times that communication just isn't flowing. They're afraid to talk about, what the job is going to cost, how much labor and material it's going to take. They tend to do that after when they're invoicing, and that's problematic. So, yeah, this was a natural fit. And then with our AI scoping that we're bringing to market, again, our vision was this just fits right in, because there's a couple of variables in the Edge that some contractors may struggle with trying to figure out. Well, we can automate a lot of that just based off of the natural inputs that you're putting in to ENCIRCLE. So I'm pretty excited. We're out in alpha right now, already outstanding results. In fact, one very large national restoration brand asked if they could deploy it nationally, and it's only been out in alpha for the past 3 or 4 weeks. So that's an exciting development.
Awesome. Yeah. I can tell you that, and when we started talking, Paul, about, this is a moment that I've been waiting for, where this little thing that I put together that works, it's from a restorer for the restorers, that we can get out broadly to the marketplace. Because there was, I've got a decent following or whatever, but sometimes you have to let go to grow. And so I'm really excited about, our relationship in the future and ENCIRCLE and the Edges in the future, and then plugging you guys into our new class that we'll be putting together for loss mastery, and very excited about that because you guys are going to be a big part of that.
Yeah, I think together with the educational elements, the ease of use tooling, like I can tell you, our product team is incredibly excited about where we're going, because like nobody else is going down this path. And yet just early testing with customers has been profound. It's a big eye opener. It literally educates their PMs, educates their estimators to become better and more detail oriented. So they're spending less time on the administrative overhead and really learning and using their intelligence, their collective experience to build out that scope or build out that estimate. Exactly the way you teach in your class is what we're trying to do through technology. And so this collaboration is going to pay off in many different ways. I mean, we'll have lots of educational classes. The technology itself will help train them. And then, of course, the technology outputs will train the reviewers, the adjusters, the engineers who are reviewing the files on IECRC standards, OSHA standards, building codes, along with all of these labor production rates to show that, hey, these are reasonable and fully justifiable labor production rates. The amount of equipment is fully justified, and same as the amount of consumables. So
now, once everybody's on the same page, and we're looking at jobs through this, because the carriers look at two numbers. They look at square footage and the production rate, and restorers just haven't been taught that. And I'm the only one that teaches them this, and now TJ is I'm excited. TJ, this is like going to be really cool, and I keep pointing at you like you're here, but I'm pointing at your screen. But this is very exciting because I'm always I'm a progression guy. I'm looking at what's next, and not I love nostalgia. The man cave is full of nostalgia and stuff from all over the world. But when it comes to the business side and where am I personally, it's all about where we're going. What are we doing? What's next? Because that's really the only I don't ever want to ever stop doing stuff. And so there's always going to be things that we're going to develop and things that we're going to do. And working with you, Paul, I cannot wait until we see what's going to happen and what's going to come up. Because who knows, 2 years from now, what everything's going to look like could be phenomenal. Yeah. So T, what's your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I'll tell you what I'm most excited for, I think, with the Edge being built out to ENCIRCLE is the consistency that it's going to create across my teams. The onboarding and training is going to be a lot faster. So like as an actual user and in the field every day, I'm so excited to create just a scalable model for my business where I can onboard PMs, I can train them and create consistency across the business and how we do it. So that's what I'm super excited for.
Yeah, we're going to have to put it in your hands over the next couple of weeks and let you try it.
I'll try to break it.
All right. You'll have fun with it. It's what Tom has built from a technology standpoint, the fundamentals are just so solid. There's always the non-believers, and then they test it, and their estimate always falls in, and this is using their best estimator, has always fallen in our testing between the range. And that's pretty darn exciting.
In Paul, it's been like that from the very beginning. When I first brought it out, and it was just the calculator part of it, we didn't have, and because what I learned in software, just get it to where it's ready to roll out and get it out. It's not going to be perfect. If you're waiting for perfection, you will never launch. And so I got it out, and it was just the calculator part. It wouldn't save anything or anything like that. And people's first reactions back in 2020 were, that can't be. That can't be. He knew something, and I have it happen when we do it live now. I just 4 weeks ago was at an event and did it live, for the hotel that we were in, and there was some contractors that were behind me. They're like, "No, that can't be." He had details and all this other stuff, and yeah, I had details of the job, but that's a damage assessment. So once you're done with the damage assessment, that's when you start estimating. And when you're done, if you get a good damage assessment, you're going to have a great estimate, and you're going to be able to put together, your in the Edge. TJ will tell you he put stuff together in 15 minutes. And, but that comes with experience. The more you use it, the better it gets and the better you get. I mean, how cool is it to have a tool that puts the power of estimating right in your hands and very quickly and within that range, like you said, Paul, there's just it just blows me away. And so
and now if you can get the damage assessment, and your assessment is based off of your photos, your videos, your notes, all of the things you take in. You get a damage assessment and it's incomplete, and you can read it and see that it's incomplete. It's just, well, go back and take pictures and document the stuff that isn't in the damage assessment yet. Just keep going and funny enough, what everybody who's been on the alpha has said is within the first 2 jobs, it's training my guys to document better. And they want to, because they are spending literally no time on the damage assessment document creation, which usually takes hour and a half or more. One did a large grocery store loss where the owner said, we need an estimate right away. And they used our Alpha AI scoping tool. And they had just finished doing all the documentation, photos, notes, videos, and everything. And they said, we'll get it to you in a couple hours. He hit the generate scope, and it was back within under 2 minutes, and went in, put it into the edge, and handed it over. Everything was done in 20 minutes, and the customer was blown away, like blown away.
Yep. And the thing is, a lot of the industry, Paul, has been kind of lulled into this. The estimating takes like this long period of time to do. And when we introduce the edge again in the beginning, people are like, well, what? I don't need to produce it that quickly. When would I ever need to do that? And now here we are. It's like, we're about to change all of that. And so it's interesting how that journey has, how it started, where people are like, nah, it can't be that quick. There's no way. That's too easy. And, but, there are some things that we have done into our estimating that didn't make it easier. It was, a lot of the stuff that we're doing now is for the carrier and really for the invoice, not necessarily for the estimate. And so, it's all great support for the invoice, but we don't have to do all of that when we're talking about a ROM. A ROM doesn't mean, 130 pages, 2,000, 50 lines of items. It means a ROM. What is our rough order of magnitude? That's really the definition of it is a 2-page document that we rock and roll with.
Yeah. But with all of the factual data that's backed up by timestamps, geolocates, who captured it, and then with your algorithms, it's just magic. The stuff that we're able to do is unbelievable. Even think about, where we'll eventually get to is you could do daily tracking, weekly tracking for billing purposes, roll-ups of what happened this day, what happened this week, all published for the customer to see. So you're educating everybody as the process goes on, eliminating a lot of back and forth in negotiations. I mean, you're an expert witness. How many times do you see invoices getting cut 10, 20, 30%?
Yeah.
It's, because they haven't run the justification all the way along.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's just because guys don't know what they don't know. And it's so important, to fill in those blanks. When you don't know something, you have to fill in the knowledge gap. They'll have their invoice is too big when they don't even know it. They think it's okay, it's just, but it's not, because there's so much data out there of past projects. And so it might be the first time that particular restorer has done a hotel, for example, but it's not the first time that hotel has been done. And so there is so much data to which it can be compared to. This isn't the 80s anymore, or the 90s, where, it was hard to track data. That's no longer the case. Data is at your fingertips, and it's really cool. It's really cool. And TJ uses AI all the time with his scoping. that has changed how he does business.
I think that's the more, you know, the edge is amazing for the estimating, but when you start leveraging the data in your business and applying it, that takes it to a whole new level in how you can leverage it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
What,
With AI, even tactile oriented restorers, hammer and nails guys can actually become operators if they leverage it appropriately.
Yep.
That's how it simplifies the administrative elements of operations. Yeah, I think that's a game changer because the restorers aren't going away. This industry, the physical restoration we need more of them. It's not going away. But it's going to get rid of the administrative stuff that all restorers hate.
Yep. As long as they don't get lazy with it, because if you're lazy with AI, it will give you sloppy results. And so we need to make sure that everybody's dialed in on making sure that we're not regurgitating bad information into it.
That's a good point, Tom, and I'm glad you brought that up because using just standard AI is going to get you into trouble. You have to use purpose-built AI, which ENCIRCLE has. We're not just using ChatGPT or Gemini 3, which anybody can do. There's a lot of technology that we built around to stop hallucinations, to drive up accuracy, and that's really important. And even then, we tell every customer, listen, you need to review it, you need to edit it. So what this is doing is compiling the data to make it easier for you to review, edit, and make it accurate and apply your specific knowledge, because there's knowledge that you have that no AI model, no matter proprietary to us or public, is going to know. And that's a secret sauce that allows you to come in at a better price than your competitor, do the job in a better way. That's proprietary knowledge that you now need to add into your scope. And so that's the edit process. And then once you've got that built, everything past that, it's a single button click. It's easy. But if you don't put the time and effort onto the scope side or the damage report, that's where you're going to get into trouble. And that's where you're not going to be able to leverage the efficiencies downstream.
Yes, and what I see is some restorers just randomly pulling stuff, and it has a lot of IRCRC stuff in it, but it doesn't have anything from here to the customer, because the scope is about the client, what you're going to do for the client personally, not quoting too much from IRCRC. And I know, TJ, with yours, I know you go through and you edit to make sure that it does exactly that. You have your IRCRC stuff in there, but then your scope fits into exactly what you're doing for the client.
Yeah, you got to tell the story. They don't even know what IICRC is. So why cloud their vision? Tell the story of how you're going to fix their problem.
Yep. And they don't care. They care. There's one question that the client wants to know is, what you're doing. They don't really care about how many merit badges you have.
And when are you going to be done?
Yeah. How much, how long, what if, how much, how long? Exactly.
Yeah. No, we're in an exciting part, and 2026, I'm looking forward to. So beyond going to Puerto Vallarta, 2026, the first half of that year is just going to be stellar for us, and I think for the industry.
I think so too, and I'm very excited about everything that what we can do together. Also, it's an interesting time because there's a lot of, because this is going to be my 40th year in the industry in next year, and I never thought that was going to be, but all my mentors were, they're 44 and 50 years in the industry. And so if they can do it, I plan on another 9 to 10 years. But what are we going to see, in that time frame? Think about it.
Yeah. The next
Unbelievable.
10 years is going to be unbelievable. Again, it's on the administrative and operations side of the business. Not much is going to change on the physical side, which it hasn't over the past 20 years either.
Yep.
You got, your equipment is your equipment. It's all, this is a heavy labor business, people business. It's people powered. It's, highly diversified. Anything can happen on any day, so you got to be really flexible. But
Yep.
it's on the operations side where things are really going to get dialed in. Now, one of the points I wanted to make, because I get this question now all the time. Well, AI is just free, and I'm like, okay, that's an interesting concept that because OpenAI, Google, and Microsoft have put these systems out there free for consumers to use. But for a business to create a really solid technology on top of it, there's actually a high processing cost and licensing cost there. If you look at how much money OpenAI, Google, Amazon are losing right now on their AI endeavors, it's the most money ever poured into a technology without a return in history. Nothing has even come close to this.
Yep.
It is hundreds of billions of dollars are being poured into it with, they're going to have to recoup that.
Yep.
And how they're recouping it is there is a fee to companies like ENCIRCLE who are building these components on top. So yeah, it's not free. And but if you want to put your data in to train these public models and then you don't own that data anymore, go ahead. But I mean, that's not something that your carrier customers are going to allow you to do much longer. And I can even tell you the IACRC is working very quickly to stop seeing the S500 and other IACRC documents going into ChatGPT, Gemini 3, and other platforms. So there's gonna be a crackdown on all of that.
Yeah, and it's too late on a lot of that stuff. A lot of it is already, public information and out there, and
absolutely.
And we lost TJ. He's must have went down to the other exit, but that's the thing, Paul. It's like, okay, and with restorers, unfortunately, a lot of them like that easy. So it's up to us to give them that easy pill, that easy button, because we don't want them going down that the wrong road and just throwing out like a scope that is just like nonsense. And 9 times out of 10, they might be okay because maybe they're not reading it. But on the bigger projects, you gotta have your act together. You gotta have a good scope of work. You gotta have everything in line with what you're doing, or it could cost you your business.
Well, even so, you have to have the auditable assets to back up that scope. So it doesn't matter whether ChatGPT can spit it out and it looks good, even reads good. If you haven't got the evidence to back it up, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the details, and that's where, the ENCIRCLE product, this is the exciting part about you and I working together, is I get to see, my creation, go into the mainstream in a big way, and then get to see the AI integration into it, because that's going to be another part that we're going to be doing, where you're going to be taking the Restore's actual data and rolling it into the edge to where it's even faster than it is now, which is ridiculous. But that's the future, and a lot of the carriers are already using similar things. We just want to dial it into where
on
it's
the review side.
Yes.
For sure, they're already using it. But
Yes.
The reason why I bring that up is I think there's a huge opportunity for you and I to educate the broader restoration community on how AI can be applied in a very responsible way that doesn't alienate your carriers, that doesn't create undue liabilities, that gives you the ability to leverage technology to up-level your PMs, your estimators to expert levels,
Yep.
and help educate them along the way to get them up there, and then substantiate all of the details, but do it in a very responsible way. I think that's what I'm most excited for, because restorers, they're working hard physically,
Yep.
and they're running businesses and doing great for their communities. The AI whole ecosystem is moving so quickly, there's no way they can stay abreast of it.
Nope.
And what we need to do is make sure that they don't put themselves in any high liability situation due to the fact that they didn't know what they were getting into, which types of AI tools they were using, and what that can mean for their business. So yeah, that's going to be a big part of 2026 as well.
Yes. TJ's back. So you must have made it to the next exit. But yeah, the dialing in the AI part of this to where, because it is all about making it easier on people, because the one thing that's, been the thing that people always complain about is, man, we have to have so much software. We got to have this piece and all this stuff going on, and we got to buy this subscription and all that. And so now, we're going to get to a point very soon with ENCIRCLE to where it's all in one place and one answer, to it all. And it's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you have, TJ, do you have any?
That's literally my number one frustration, is how many different systems I have to use to accomplish my goals. It drives me insane.
What's the number one thing you would say, T, that you would, what's your number one pain when it comes to that?
Just the lack of, it's really hard to duplicate roles inside a business when you have such disconnectivity in your systems. So streamlining it, and ENCIRCLE is headed that direction, and I'm super excited about it. Getting more TNM, platform and data tracking, and then analytics to bolster that and allow you to make business decisions is what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, because it takes a lot of time compiling all of that data from various systems and then creating a dashboard, probably in Excel, right? That you can actually, or sheets.
Yeah, I use Airtable, but most restorers don't even know what Airtable is, right? And I think that's a big reason that our industry is so fragmented, is because everybody is doing something different with a ton of different systems. So to create, consistency amongst restorers, you're driving it in the right direction, Paul.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work. There's some companies that don't want to play ball, but at the end of the day, if the restoration community gets behind this, I think we can bring everybody along. I do think even for all the technology companies, I think it's a win for everybody. And, I think it's not integrating and allowing for that free flow of data to be able to be published, in a single view for you. It also means that there's other systems that aren't getting the data that they need in order to help to provide a higher value to their customers. So it's, the data is key, and you got to have access to it. Otherwise, you're going to be irrelevant to your clients.
Yes. And I think there's going to be a lot of, because there's a lot of people out there, they're getting, they've got all they're becoming AI, experts, and they're creating all this stuff. So I think we're about a few months away from this flood of like all of this new software, and I think it's going to be there's going to be a wave of it that you're going to have to sort through. And what I love about where you are, Paul, with ENCIRCLE, is you guys are already there. You're already you're at the tip of the spear. And so all of this other stuff is going to come in. It's going to be unproven. The beautiful thing about ENCIRCLE is it's a proven product. The beautiful thing about the Edge is it is proven, and together they're perfect. And so I think it's going to be a great 2026.
Yeah, the challenge for the other platforms is they don't have the underlying fundamentals, and you can't just build that overnight. Both platforms were years of expertise put into the product that are now combining. So you AI sitting on top of really solid logic is excellent. AI just running wild with data is a challenge. It's gonna create some issues.
Yep.
So yeah, I like where we're going.
Yeah, it's a long-term solution. There's going to be a lot of these little things that'll pop up that will seem like they're a solution, but they're unproven, and you won't know till you try them. And
Yep.
and why do that when you can go to a proven solution?
Yeah, I think, restorers are going to try lots of stuff as they do today. We saw that in the early days with drones, and drones were going to capture all of the images, and we didn't see that. And then, of course, water mitigation. There was a whole bunch of platforms that came out, and there's a few left, right? Because these things are really hard to do in a consistent, highly reliable way. So, yeah, I think it's great when restorers test technology, put it into practice, and see what the outputs are, but take a very realistic view. And I'm always happy to work with contractors who want to run the tests to help them guide them on these are the answers you want to look for as you go through evaluating technology. And it can't just be the feature list that the vendor gives you of things it can do. You need to test the technology to make sure that it can do what you are expecting it to do in your business and is highly repeatable. And then, of course, can integrate with all of the other aspects of your business that you need to. So it's really about, future proofing. If you deploy this technology, does it work now, and will it work for you in 24 months?
Yeah, that's the big thing. And obviously we want to be there first. We want to give them, we want to be raising the bar. Everybody else gets to catch up. And as long as we're providing products that work, they're proven, that will always be the case. When the first laptop came out, it was supposed to be the end of paper. There was supposed to be no more paper. And there is, by 2025, which was, this was 1993 when I got my first laptop.
Yeah.
And since then, we have created billions of boxes of paper that are stored in facilities all over the world.
Yeah. Well, listen, AI hopefully will start taking that down even further. But yeah, we're completely paperless as a business, and hopefully we can get restorers down the route where they're creating scopes, creating estimates right there in the field, no paper, all digitally done, all authenticated, auditable. That's the goal. In fact, some of the cool features, little features we're bringing out with AI, Tom, is in our hydro product, the moisture meters.
Mm-hmm.
When you take a picture of your moisture meter, when you're doing the reading, it'll actually pull the readings in using machine learning and automatically fill in the fields for you. So we were using, Bluetooth with Tramex and that, but there's so many meters out there. And so now we just said, listen, let's just use machine learning and take a picture of it. At least it's authenticated with time, date stamp, geolocates, and we'll just fill it in for you. Doing the same thing with contents. Now we can it's unbelievable how descriptive, the quality of the descriptions of the items now are. So we're going to see that all throughout our platform. Removing a lot of administrative overhead.
That's exciting. That is really exciting, Paul. And the industry, and it's a very young industry. We're talking just since the 80s. And, so it's not even a century old, barely a half century. And so it's amazing to see everything that's changing that can help restorers, because the number one thing that's always been there since when I started in the 80s was documentation and getting it done. There's never enough time. And what you're describing is, something that can make it like this. and to where you can actually focus on the job more than the documentation.
Yeah, that's exactly the goal. And with that, if we can help more contractors be operators, think about how they can scale their business. You can't scale your business if you don't become an operator. You're going to cap out at a certain, usually it's a couple $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
But those contractors that can go, 15, 20, 25 million, they become really solid operators in leading their teams and giving them guidance based on real data, right? Like labor productivity, how to scope, how to define the scope. How do we ensure we stay within the guideposts that the Edge produces on here's how much labor, here's how much equipment, here's how much consumables. When you have those boundaries and you stay within them, you have consistent profit margins. And what do consistent profit margins do? Well, it makes your business highly repeatable. You can scale. So I'm pretty excited. I hate seeing restorers struggle after working their butts off. I mean, just working hard. And then coming up at the end of the year with, very, very low, if not negative profit margins. And we did a study and there's a significant portion of restorers that by the end of the year didn't make any money.
And it's unfortunate, T, we've talked about this many times. And one of the reasons why, I love what you've done, you've taken the program and you've plugged it in completely, is exactly what's going on every single job. And that's unfortunately a lot of restorers they're just not doing that. And it becomes it is what it is, invoice. And when you do that, that means, your profit is going to be, it is what it is. And it's usually not a good thing.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Well, Paul, we are here at the end. I know it's between, the only thing standing between you and south of the border is this interview.
Bet.
Are you packed and ready to go to Mexico?
I am not, because I just need shorts, t-shirts, and flip-flops. My wife is probably packed, but I am not.
I'm assuming that she doesn't travel light.
No. Fortunately, we've had this place for 15 years, so a lot of clothes are down there.
Oh, good. Well, no, that's the way to do it. Have your clothes there already, and then that's the way to do it. And the next time, when we're here in December, because you're going to have to come down here in December, you're going to sign on it. You're going to sign the surfboard that's behind me. I'm trying to point behind my back. Can't.
I see it.
You got to sign the surfboard, and when you're down here, we'll tell you the story about when TJ signed a surfboard on when was that? Saturday or Friday? Friday.
All right.
Can't tell you now.
Yeah.
All right. I'm feeling like it's a good story. So
all the signatures that surfboard has a lot of stories to it. So
look forward to it.
Paul, thank you very much. You guys got anything you want to close with in particular?
No, I just hope everybody takes time over the holidays to find some mental clarity, enjoy it with their family, and carry the momentum into 2026.
Yes, and thank you for reminding me. Merry Christmas to both of you guys. And if I don't talk to you guys, happy New Year also. I can't believe that it's hard for me to fathom that we are, just a step away from Christmas. So it's like crazy.
Unbelievable. Where did 2025 go?
I have no idea.
But you know what? I can't wait for 2026. So onwards and upwards.
I can't either, and very excited to have you with us today, Paul. Thank you. I cannot wait to see what we're going to conjure up in 2026, and the industry is going to benefit so much from what we're working on, and thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Good
to see you again, TJ.
All right, guys.
Thanks for listening to Conversations on the Edge with Tom and TJ. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And if you like what you hear, leave us a review. Join us next time for another Conversation on the Edge.